So Moon 2024, probably not gonna happen. I'm here today in front of a symbolic building, really. Moon 2024 is likely not gonna happen. This past March, Vice President Mike Pence made a speech at the National Space Council, basically saying that the president wants boots on the moon by 2024, which sent NASA absolutely scrambling to figure out how they were going to do this, how they were going to pay for it, and what players they needed to get on board to make this happen. So NASA spent the last month coming up with a budget to figure out how much this is going to cost so that they can present it to Congress and ask for the money. Now, there's a lot of reasons as to why I think that Moon 2024 is a long shot, to say the least, and we're going to cover a couple of these issues. According to Chris Berger of Ars Technica, his sources say that NASA is going to need at least $8 billion more a year to make the moonshot happen. That would be a 37% increase in NASA's budget. To say that it was huge is an understatement. It is unthinkable, really. Last time NASA's budget was even close to this size was in the 60s when we were in the middle of the space race. So just optically and just knowing how Congress and how politicized space missions can be, I highly doubt that we'd probably even get half of that. Now, there's some things you need to remember when agencies go to request budget from Congress. They need to go in front of the House Sub-Appropriations Committee and the Senate Appropriations Committee to present their case and get their approval on said budget, and then it goes to the president to sign it off and make it into law. Let's role play here, and we're going to go to the House Sub-Appropriations Committee, who is led by Congressman Jose Serrano of New York. Well, first of all, he's a Democrat, which really doesn't play well in terms of the Republicans who are currently running the country. But the bigger story we should consider is that Serrano is actually from Puerto Rico, and to say that he's ticked off about how the White House has handled the crisis in Puerto Rico is an understatement. I highly doubt that somebody with his background is going to want to approve essentially $40 billion to this administration to achieve what he perceives as just a political goal. But yeah, let's just say that Serrano is convinced by Jim Bridenstine, who, by the way, I think is doing a fantastic job running NASA. It passes the House, and now we're off to the Senate. Well, that committee is chaired by Republican Richard Shelby of Alabama. And if you know anything about Alabama, they make rockets. And they make lots of rockets. Good rockets, good rockets. They've built rockets for several decades. So it's gonna be in Richard Shelby's best interest for his constituents to get this proposal through. And if not, NASA's gonna have to be really creative in terms of how they're gonna make the moonshot work. Let's role play again. They get this to pass and it goes to the White House and they sign it into law, and now NASA's got their $40 billion to go to the moon, which is likely not going to happen because between these committees, it's going to get knocked down and politicized. Long story short, we're going to end up with a third, maybe a half of that budget, maybe. And this is just like fantasizing. We may not get any of it. Let's be realistic here and say that we're not going to get that $40 billion to develop a lunar lander, the Gateway, and to accelerate SLS's production. NASA's going to have to cut programs, which is going to make them very unpopular. And also, they're going to have to be creative in working with private launch providers to get Orion in Earth orbit, and then they'll have to basically assemble the lunar lander and Orion in low Earth orbit and then send it off to the moon using boosters such as the Falcon Heavy or the Atlas V. This is not going to make Senator Shelby of Alabama very happy because this puts his rocket, the Space Launch System, in the back seat of NASA, therefore likely losing a large chunk of its budget to SLS being put towards adapting these other boosters to go to the moon, and also potentially meaning loss of jobs in Alabama. So he's gonna fight this tooth and nail. And the fact that he would fight this means that it's gonna prolong the process. There's also just the outside logistics of, building, testing a lunar lander, in which we haven't done in over 50 years. And those are just the engineering feats that we need to overpass outside of launching SLS for the first time. I believe in NASA. I believe in what they want to do, and I believe in the goals of the administration. But that's just my opinion. I'd love to hear what yours is. SpaceX may get there. I don't know if they're going to land on the moon, but their plan is to orbit in a couple of years, so we'll see. I'm not trying to be divisive here or political. I'm just trying to be real with the situation. So thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please consider subscribing. And I got some fun interviews coming up, so I'll catch you guys later.